So I'm Deniz. I work as the VP of Data and AI at Colendi. So when I first graduated, the field of data science and AI wasn't as big as it is today. So I didn't know at the time that I wanted to work in data science, but I always had that. I think it's because of the way my brain works. I wanted to, for me, the easiest way to explain or understand things is through analytical thinking. So I knew that I want to do something related to that, but I didn't know at first that I want to be a data scientist. But life happened. So I didn't know that I wanted to be a data scientist or wanted to work in this field. But I knew that I loved mathematics, so I studied mathematics in university. It's definitely helped. And then I thought I want to do something more practical, so I switched to economics and started my PhD in economics at Penn State. But then I realized that I wanted to do something even more practical, so I quit PhD and started my corporate career. And my first job was at a risk analytics team at a bank. So that really helped me understand. I liked building models to explain stuff. So from the first day on, I knew that I wanted to work in the predictive modeling, which was the same thing as data science at the time, but we just called it analytics, risk analytics team. But it was still the same thing, data science. Data science. That I think right now, actually, some banks are calling them data scientists, but at the time we didn't have that. So I was my first job was credit risk analytics specialist. But yeah, it definitely helped to start in an analytical team. And after that, I didn't leave the field. I always wanted to build models and explain things to the business using data and AI. So when I was a practitioner, so when I was practicing the data science field, I think it was on my second job. So I was working at a customer analytics team. And the moment that I realized my models were being used in marketing campaigns. So at the time we had a project called Next Best Action, which was so we were working on unifying the marketing strategy of the bank. And yeah, the moment I realized that my models were actually being fed into that huge engine, and people in marketing were using them to make decisions, even though I didn't know anything about marketing at the time. That was a really big moment for me. After that, I tried and made sure that before starting a model or building a model, yeah, I made sure that someone in the business side was going to use it or they needed it. So just building a model for the sake of building a model is not for me. So my job is basically communicating with the leaders in the business, CEOs, sometimes even the board, to understand the goals or the problems of the company and offering them solutions using AI or data science if available, obviously. I try and set some time apart for coding as well. I think at least once every 2 weeks, I usually do 3 or 4 hours, just to make sure that, because the field is expanding really quickly, I'm on top of the new updates. And also I think to manage the technical teams, you need to understand the technicality behind it. I mean, you don't have to be the perfect at it, but you still need to have the aspects or the high-level understanding better than everyone in the team. So I'm trying and keeping up with the latest models and achievements. And I have my own GPUs at home that I occasionally use to fine-tune or try out some LLM models. I also spend some time on Kaggle. So we attend competitions to see if I still have it. But yeah, my job is like 90%, I would say, communicating with the business leaders and making sure that we are doing everything for them to help them in AI. I think it changed in the last 2 years. So before that, I would say the tricky part is making sure that the business people or the people who are supposed to use these models are using them, and they're using them correctly. So that was the biggest challenge for me in my first few years of my career. And like in the last 2 years, it changed so quickly because like we are living in this AI hype now, and everyone's talking about AI on Twitter. Every CEO is like, we have to do something with AI. So there's all this noise. There are like people like Elon Musk talking on Twitter like on a day-to-day basis. So there's all this noise around the field and the hype. So it's sometimes difficult to manage expectations and also like understand the capabilities within companies, because like there are so many companies built in Turkey even this year, and they have some like somewhere in the name they have AI, but they don't even have their own data sources or like proper infrastructure to build these models. So it's tricky to understand what the companies can do with the current infrastructures and resources, and also at the same time making sure that like the investments are being made properly, because like, it takes huge amount of money and effort to build, for instance, LLM model from scratch. So it's difficult to navigate through that noise and hype at the moment for AI leaders. Probably it's like 1 year, I'd say. Like most people on a white collar job will use some form of AI um, to help them their job be easier and better, even increase the quality of their output. Um, like we'll probably see lots more agents. So right now we use like obviously ChatGPT, like copilots and stuff, but we're still limited on the number of use cases that we can apply these AI models. So I think we'll see many more agents, like bespoke agents that are built specifically for a purpose. Also, we'll obviously see some regulation. We don't know what, like, I don't have any idea what it's going to be, because it's really hard to regulate something you don't understand. So we'll see what those will bring. But since these models are really complicated and we need to, like, they're huge in size, and also we need to feed like huge amounts of data into them. It's really difficult to understand how they work, and also the like safeguarding or guardrailing the outputs of these models are really difficult. So there are some frameworks at the moment for guardrailing, but there's still so much that we don't understand. So I think it's going to be really tricky on the regulation side. But yeah, we'll see. Still important to understand the theory behind it really well. If they don't have the resources or the time to do that, then there are like really good online resources that they can keep track of, and also like they can. There are some cheap options for available GPUs as well, so they can like with little investment actually they can start like practicing these models, and like there are these really huge online platforms that they can use to understand what's relevant to the field still. So like there's a lot of things that can be done with, I'd say, around like $1,000, $2,000 for the initial investment. Like you can, like NVIDIA recently released a affordable GPU and a laptop with GPUs that are specifically designed for AI purposes. So like that's a good option. Also, There are some cloud platforms that support GPUs, like smaller GPUs, but like 50 cents an hour cost. So it's again a low cost for, if you compare it with huge data centers. So it's still affordable to try out models, and like they shouldn't be afraid of trying these models and like practice on them. And yeah, there's huge online resources on websites like Hugging Face that they can see like which models work better at what use cases, etc. So yeah, there's a lot to be learned from the internet as well. But yeah, if you have the time or the resources, I definitely recommend to learn the theory first, and then don't be afraid to practice these models, and stay on top of the latest updates through online resources. I think the most undervalued thing in the field is the actual know-how in the field. Because of the hype, yeah, everybody thinks that they're doing AI now, but obviously it's not the case. And like, these models are really complicated and hard to understand. And even the best minds, or like the top people in the field, say that they don't understand how this works. So it's like it's really undervalued and really like not being appreciated enough to for people who actually like know the theory at least, or like have an aspect of how things work in the field. I think in the future we will see more, but like at the moment we still have a limited number of AI leaders or like C-levels within companies. So like even in Turkey we see like I think like AI teams usually report into like marketing or even technologies. So we need to have more independent AI teams because AI is for the whole company usually. So when you have AI team reporting into another team leaders, that limits the number of use cases that AI can be applied to. But yeah, I hope we'll see more independent AI teams in the future, hopefully in Turkey and globally as well. So there are obvious choices. I go with the mainstream choices as well. So like obviously Yannick and Andrew Ng are really helping the field to be accessible to people who don't have like billions of dollars. So Yannick obviously leads the AI team at Meta, and they make these huge investments to build these models, and then they make it open source for the rest of us to use. So for instance, even at Colendi, we are using Llama 3.3 to build our own model, or like to build our AI agents, to fine-tune the Llama, even fine-tuning costs GPUs and stuff, obviously, but compared to what it would have been if we were to start from scratch, it's a huge benefit for the rest of us. Andrew Ng is just like he's been pushing this for a long time now, so it's not a recent thing, but still he's been pushing the field of data science and AI to be accessible to everyone. So he has these platforms like Coursera, Deep Learning AI, that provides a lot of input, a lot of information on the field, and really high quality information on the field. Basically a really low cost, or sometimes even for free. So that's yeah, that's a mobile thing to do as well. So yeah, those two would be my go-to. So I really enjoyed reading Google's latest white paper on AI agents. So they explained it very beautifully what an AI agent is, what it is not, and how these agents are different than foundation models. So I really enjoy like reading Google's papers, but this one was specifically like really touching on the important points, because yeah, as I said, through the hype, it's really difficult to see sometimes like what you're doing is defined in the market at that time. So it's it was really good for me. I'd also recommend, as I said, Deep Learning AI website. So they have these really short courses, like 30-minute, 40-minute courses, on the latest updates on the field. So if you want to keep updated on the latest models, platforms that are used in the AI field, that's the best and quickest way to get your news. Yeah, those two I'd recommend. Also, like obviously other papers published by Google, Meta, Alibaba, and Mistral. They're also like publishing papers with each version almost. So that those papers are really good resources of information as well, on theory behind that, and also the latest updates are usually given in those papers through lit reviews. I'd also recommend, if you want to get basic and start from the beginning of this transformer infrastructure, I'd also recommend Google's BERT paper, which was the first foundation of these models, actually, foundation infrastructure of these models. It's a bit difficult to read, but I'd recommend at least having a quick review of it.